Hello everyone and welcome to our first class about design patterns. Our first command pattern is gonna be the command pattern. Okay, let's explain a little bit about this. When we are gonna use the command pattern, we can use it on undo and redo operations. We can use it in transactional and rollback operations. We can use in separation of concerns between a GUI and a business logic, and also in a synchronous operation. Basically, when we need to do actions, several actions, one after other, and we create a record of all of these actions or transactions. So uh, after that, we have a history of these operations. A command pattern is a pretty good option when we are using asynchronous operations, since we can execute one after other. Also, we can use in transactional operations when we need to create important transactions with little operations in each if each operations fails, so we can do a rollback. We can use it also in GUI when we need to separate the GUI from the business logic. For example, when we create a toolbar with several buttons in which button has a different business logic, we can separate that using a command pattern, or we can create an undo or read operation. Since we have a history, we can use it for that purpose too. About the elements, the command pattern has these elements: the client, the invoker, the concrete command, the abstraction of command, and a receiver. Firstly, what's the client? The client is when we create instances of our invoker, of our concrete commands, and our receivers. Basically, is where we execute firstly all of this command pattern. What's the invoker? Usually, the invoker is a class which receives one or many concrete commands. And also, this invoker executes all of these commands. Usually, into the invoker, we have a list of concrete commands, or a queue, or a stack, or whatever you want, but a history of these commands. What's a concrete command? Well, as its name says, it's concrete. So what's concrete command? A concrete command basically is a class, usually, which implements an abstraction of a command. For example, a command as an abstraction could be an interface, and this interface should be implemented in this concrete command. This concrete command receives a request from the invoker, and this request usually has a series of parameters, and with these parameters executes an operation into the method execute. Something important about the commands is this: if this concrete command always has a unique method called execute, which doesn't return anything. It's a void returning. Okay. When we need to do something complex in our command, usually we take that request of parameters involving an instance of a receiver. So since we have an object of the receiver in our constructor of the concrete command, this receiver object would be passed with the parameters from the concrete command, and this receiver object will execute the operation which is needed. So basically, this is all the elements of command pattern. Let's continue with the code. I will create this files. The client TS, invoker, command, receiver, and command interface TS. That's great. Okay. After that, I will open my code editor. So let's continue with our code. Firstly, I will begin with the command interface. Export interface command. Usually, we need to create an execute method which returns byte, anything. Okay. After that, I will create a concrete command. This is a concrete command. So let's create a class, name as command, which implements the command interface. Well, I will call it as a concrete command. Well, okay. Since we are implementing the command interface, we need to implement its execute method. Okay, here we go. Well, we left this file here. I will take the receiver. Obviously, I will create another class named receiver. And this receiver can have several methods. I will create a public method, method 1. And this will take a text. And this will return as a greeting. Hi text. Okay, that's enough. Okay, now it's important, since our concrete commands try to take the request and this request be processed by another object, we are gonna create our constructor. In this constructor, I will receive a reference of our receiver class. So we have a receiver object. Also, I will receive a text like a string. I will say this receiver is a private attribute from our concrete command class. So we can use it along this file. After that, I will create a text string property, and I will initialize this text with text parameter from the constructor. Into the execute method, I will call the receiver and execute the method 1, which receives the property text, which is a string. Okay. After that, I will go to the client. In this client TS, I will create firstly an invoker instance. But this invoker, oh yeah, we need to create an invoker firstly. Okay, let's create it then. How to export class invoker. This invoker should has at least a queue or stack of commands. So I will create a property called list, which is gonna be an array of commands. Okay, Let's create a constructor. Let's initialize the list as an empty array. Also, I will create a public method called add_comment. So this will receive a command object. Sorry, command object. And this will add to our list. So this push command. And also we need a method called run, for example. It doesn't matter the name, but I will call it as run. This run method will execute the list of commands. So let's for each. We have a command here, and we are gonna to execute each command, and that's it. Okay, we have the invoker. This invoker has a list of commands. We are gonna add several commands, and after that, we are gonna execute each of them. Let's continue with our list, with our client TS then. Okay, invoker. What's invoker? Okay, we need to import it. Okay, have the invoker. This invoker, we're gonna add a command. Let's see, a new concrete command, and this concrete command receives a receiver here. Needs a receiver and a text. Okay, so const receiver, it's a new receiver. Let's pass this reference of receiver object. Also, we're gonna pass a name as a text, and that's enough. I will create other instance of concrete command, but instead of Franco, let's say Jesus. And finally, we are gonna run the invoker, and this run method also will execute all the commands. Okay. I'm gonna use tsc asterisk.ts to compile all of my files, and after that I will execute node client.js. Okay. I can see it doesn't do anything. If I do a revision of this, I will go to the concrete command. Here we go. Yeah, executes a method. This method is called from the receiver. Okay. The receiver returns a string, but in our concrete command, we are just executing the method, but we are not printing into the console. So I will add that response here in a constant, and after that I will add a console info with that response. Yep, I think that's all. I will transpile my Typescript. I will execute again node client.js, and that's it. Let's see. Our client TS is called twice concrete commands with Franco and Jesus, and our receiver returns hi Franco, hi Jesus, and the concrete command works as a class, which takes a request, and this request is executed by this receiver. I hope this explanation would be enough. If you have any questions or concerns, please let me know. I will be attentive with your comments. See you guys. Have a nice day.